All wood-based panels, such as OSB, MDF and particle board, can be cut or machined using hand tools or power tools. But as with any such job, care should be taken to avoid injury to the operator or damage to the material and equipment. It is important to follow any manufacturer's specific guidance for their product and any relevant health and safety guidelines. Personal protective equipment appropriate to the job should be worn at all times. When cutting wood-based panels, it is important to use sharp tools, adequate support close to the saws, plus correct allowance for saw kerf. This will help ensure that a good result is achieved in a safe fashion. The quality of the cut on a panel is affected by the moisture content, and high moisture content should be avoided wherever possible. When a very close fit is required, panels should be cut to size after acclimatizing. All panel types, OSB, MDF and particle board, can be cut to size using conventional hand saws. A good quality hand saw is recommended. Whilst satisfactory results can be achieved using hand saws, a quicker and more consistent result can be achieved using either portable or fixed power saws. Either handheld power saws or fixed bench saws can be used for machining wood-based panels. Handheld saws are more appropriate for small volumes, in-situ cutting or intermittent use. For cutting large volumes of material, fixed workshop bench saws are more appropriate. They generally provide a better quality finish and allow health and safety requirements to be more easily met. When cutting OSB, MDF and particle board, the rate of saw feed should be generally slower than that used for natural timber. Saw blade cutting edges should be kept sharp. This is particularly important for laminate face panels such as Conti board. If not, edges may bell or spread slightly. Tungsten carbide tip blades are recommended to be used because of their longer cutting life. They have a much lower rate of wear than most other types of saw blades, and this offsets their higher initial cost. The grain directions of the wood in OSB, MDF and particle board are random, so saw blades with cross-cutting forms should be used. Portable circular saws and jigsaws cut on the upstroke, and the wanted or decorated face should be placed downward. Bench circular saws, on the other hand, cut on the downstroke, so the decorative side needs to be placed upwards. MDF can be sawn with a handsaw or power saws. TCT blades are recommended. Saw blades developed for particle boards will cut MDF. Particle board can be sawn with a normal handsaw or with a power saw, using a tungsten carbide tipped blade. Bench saws should preferably have blades of 350 to 450 mm diameter with 75 or 96 teeth. Tooth shape should be in accordance with the saw manufacturer's recommendations. Feed speed should not exceed 15 meters per minute. Projection of the blade above the work surface should normally be between 8 and 20 millimeters. OSB can be sawn with normal hand saws or with power saws. As OSB is a form of reconstituted timber with very low resin and grit contents, tools designed for use with solid timber should be used. OSB, MDF and particle board can be drilled using all types of woodworking drill bits. Mechanical fittings developed for use with particle board can be applied to MDF with the following recommendations. Wherever possible, select fittings that depend upon face fixing. Avoid fixings which depend upon the expansion of a component inserted into the board edge. When using screws, use the following pilot hole dimensions. Larger diameter pilot holes than those recommended for solid wood and particle board are required in the face and edges of MDF to accommodate the core of the screw. The recommended pilot hole should be 85 to 95% of the screw diameter. This requirement is particularly important when screwing into the edges of thinner boards. Pilot holes should be drilled approximately 1 mm beyond the expected depth. The internal bond strength of CaberWood MDF gives substantially better screw holding over other types of panel product. Most types of screws can be used. The best results are obtained with parallel threaded screws. A high overall diameter to core ratio is desirable. Screws which are inserted into the face should not be less than 25 mm from the corners. Screws inserted into the edge should not be less than 70 mm from the corners. Do not over-tighten screws as further turning will reduce the holding power. Ring shank nails can be used as an alternative to screws. Cutting and machining of wood-based panels presents no more risk than that of any other material, providing health and safety guidelines are followed and appropriate personal protective equipment is used. The correct PPE consists of mask, goggles, gloves and hearing protection. When working with wood fibre in confined spaces, make sure there is adequate ventilation and a mask is used. Make sure when lifting and carrying sheets of OSB, MDF and particle board that you use the correct lifting techniques. Personal safety is the responsibility of the operator, who should ensure that current health and safety regulations are complied with. The main regulations in this respect is the control of substances hazardous to health. Further information on health and safety can be found on the Norboard website at norboard.com.